Topping today's news, the Minister of Tourism reacts to Monday's fatal shark attack on the American visitor. The F&M Chairman Sands defends the party while former Deputy Prime Minister Bannister calls for a convention. The Education Minister talks about reintroducing corporal punishment into the schools. And fans frustrated once again after hiccups with Junkanoo ticket sales. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It is a pleasure to have you join us. Following the fatal shark attack on Monday involving a 44-year-old woman from Boston, Massachusetts, who was paddleboarding about 3/4 of a mile off Sandals Royal Bahamian Resort in Cable Beach, Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation Chester Cooper today extending sincere regards to the family of the deceased and says the Ministry of Tourism will be there to assist.
I simply want to send out my thoughts and prayers to the family of the individual affected, and the Ministry of Tourism team will be in direct contact with them in short order. When these unfortunate incidences happen, our first course of business is really to talk with the family, to see what we can do, perhaps to help them through the most difficult set of circumstances.
According to the police, the victim received severe injuries to the side near the hip area and the upper limbs and lost a lot of blood. This unfortunate incident comes nearly 2 weeks after another shark attack off West End, Grand Bahama, where a 47-year-old German woman vanished after she was attacked during a diving excursion at Tiger Beach on November 21st. Asked if he is concerned that these occurrences will have a negative impact on the tourism market, Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper says his concern really lies with the families of the individuals.
I'm not particularly alarmed by the incidences and their potential impact on the overall tourism product. I am alarmed for the families involved. Clearly, any one such incident is a very painful experience. And I think first and foremost, the thought is for the family.
Again, the government of the Bahamas, through the Ministry of Tourism, will meet with the family of the shark attack victims to offer any assistance that may be needed. Chairman of the Free National Movement, Dr. Dwayne Sands, is calling for the media to stop allowing people to voice what he calls untrue and outlandish claims on their platforms. This comes after Vice Chairman of the Free National Movement, Richard Johnson, appeared on various news stations accusing the Free National Movement leadership of orchestrating a physical attack on his life outside of the F&M's headquarters last week Thursday during a meeting. During his appearance on Love 97's Issues of the Day talk show with host Kristen Jones, Dr. Sands called it tragic that media would allow themselves to be used in such a way.
Let's look at the allegation. The allegation is that leadership or members of the team of leaders of the Free National Movement contracted somebody to cause harm or to kill a member of the Free National Movement. Now, that is defamatory, that is libelous, that is baseless, it is preposterous, and it is unfortunate that it would be aired. And so, sometimes these things, whether they are uttered by the President of the United States or the former President of the United States, or a current vice chairman of a political organization in the Bahamas, ought not be allowed to be ventilated unchecked.
Dr. Sands goes on to say that Mr. Johnson's claims are false and any disagreements within the party should not make it to this point of damaging claims. He explains that Mr. Johnson is a very expressive individual who is hard to rein in.
We can disagree, but one should never be disagreeable. And even when you give wide latitude for people that have challenges controlling their emotions, there's a limit. So, I give the analogy when one is asked to define pornography, It's difficult to define, but you know it when you see it. So when do people cross the line? You cross the line when you defame, when you libel, when you lie, when you misrepresent. And I think as civil society, we should be very, very careful when we start to see this type of thing. And we see it a lot in the United States, of course, now.
Right.
But there's a limit. And if you allow it to go unchecked, I think it signals the downfall of civil society as we know it.
Now, over the past few months, there have been a few instances of verbal altercations during party meetings, which seems to stem from a power struggle between supporters of former leader Dr. Hubert Minnis and current leader Michael Pintard. Earlier this year, members of the Free National Movement said there would be war if party officials continued to block Dr. Minnis from speaking at constituency association meetings. Despite this, Dr. Sands says there is no war within the party.
If you have a war, if you assume that there are two sides, then you would expect that there is participation of both sides. If you have an aggressor and you have somebody who is attempting to ensure that the business of country and of party is being conducted, then I don't know that that necessarily constitutes a war. But there are individuals who seem quite prepared to throw the baby out with the bathwater, to bring the party into disrepute, possibly under the direction or support or egging on of others.
Dr. Sands says it is important for party members to exercise their free speech even during disagreements, but there is a line between free speech and libel. Also coming from the opposition Free National Movement, former Deputy Prime Minister Desmond Bannister, in an email addressed to the Free National Movement and official opposition leader Michael Pintard, is calling for a national convention for the party at the earliest possible date. Mr. Bannister said in the letter that the convention would serve as a referendum on Mr. Pintard's leadership of the party. In the letter, the former Minister of Public Works goes on to express regret for the recent constant hostile public airing of disagreements within the party. Mr. Bannister also laments what he describes as a lack of party support for Long Island Member of Parliament Adrian Gibson, who faces corruption charges, and that party leaders have unconstitutionally interfered in constituency associations. Meanwhile, Mr. Bannister's comments drew reprimand from Dr. Nigel Lewis, the coordinator of the Free National Movement's 2021 general election campaign, who said that he was disappointed with the tone of Mr. Bannister's letter. In turn, Dr. Lewis reportedly said in a letter of his own that former Prime Minister Dr. Minnis should intervene to control his supporters for the sake of unity and to facilitate political success. It is widely believed that Dr. Minnis will challenge Mr. Pintard's leadership at the FNM's next convention. The problem of violence by students on and off school campuses continues to be a vexing challenge for the Ministry of Education, as last week Tuesday, 2 male students stabbed another student in the back while on the campus at C.R. Walker High School. There is a viral video of female parents engaged in a fight just outside of a school campus that also involved female students. And yet another video of an adult male on campus threatening a male student who allegedly put hands on his child. And on Friday last week, police arrested a male student of R.M. Bailey on Marathon Road after he had stabbed another student with a knife which had a blade that appeared to be 7 to 8 inches long. While in the House of Assembly on Wednesday, speaking on the subject of women's rights, Education Minister Glenys Hanna Martin said officials are working very hard to create a safe environment for students to learn. She also spoke about the possibility of returning to corporal punishment.
This is a reminder that we are all displaying in this parliament today. I think about, and this is kind of unrelated, but the issue of corporal punishment in our schools. We need to revisit that and to see how is it that we should be causing young people to understand what is correct behaviors, and whether we should use physical chastisement as a way of seeking to convince 15 and 16-year-olds of how to behave. So this is something that we're looking at.
The minister said there are mechanisms already in place to help with some of the antisocial behavior displayed by students, with police on campus and frequent searches for weapons and drugs, and she wanted to make it clear that a majority of students cooperate in ensuring that there is a safe environment on and around school campuses. And finally, in this segment, Monday at Police Headquarters, Chief Superintendent of the Royal Bahamas Police Force and Press Liaison Officer Chrislyn Skippings addressed a sexual assault incident that took place with a woman in her late 20s last Saturday. Chief Superintendent Skipping says residents, both males and females, should be cautious when accepting rides, especially from strangers.
The female was walking onto Michael Road in the area of Faith Avenue when she accepted a ride from a male. I want to encourage females as well as males to be extremely careful as to who you accept rides from, especially if you are not familiar with the individuals. If you are catching a ride, even if it's someone that you know, I want to encourage you, as soon as you're about to get into that vehicle, contact a family member who you know. Let them know where you are. Let them know who you're catching a ride with. In the event something occurs, as a law enforcement agency, we know exactly who we're looking for.
She noted that most crimes are crimes of opportunity and that residents should always remain vigilant.
We're now into the Christmas season, and culprits or suspects are always looking for a suitable target. You often hear me talk about it. In order for crime to occur, three things must be present. There must be a suitable target, there must be something of value, and the opportunity must present itself. Most of the crimes that we see occurring are crimes of opportunity. And so I want to encourage Bahamians throughout the length and breadth of the Bahamas to take the necessary precautions, take the same cautionary steps that you take when traveling abroad so that you can minimize or even prevent yourself from becoming a victim of crime.
As the holiday season is here, police are reminding you to always be aware of your surroundings. We will take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.